Hello, my name is Ajacy Smith, and today I will be showing you how to use a 5W chart. I know many of you already know what the 5Ws of a story are, but I'm going to go ahead and reintroduce you to those questions today for the sake of this lesson. The 5Ws of a story include who, what, where, when, and why. However, sometimes the question how can be added to the 5Ws. It just depends on what story you are reading or how you are answering or asking the question. Many people ask, why is a 5W chart useful? What is the purpose of using this chart and how can it benefit my students? Well, there are many different ways, but I'm only going to elaborate on a few of those today. So let's get started. Why are the 5Ws useful? One way a 5W chart can be used is during or after storytelling, especially at the elementary level, since many students seem to struggle with retelling a story. I know a lot of times in my classroom, we will read a story, and after a couple of pages, I'll go ahead and just stop and start asking the questions that can be answered. The question who is one of the first questions that can be answered because the characters are usually introduced at the beginning of the story. So you can go ahead and answer that question as well as the setting. So when the story takes place can be answered as well. The 5W chart breaks down a story by using 5 questions as I stated before and sometimes how. Then we have problem solving, uncovering truths, and checking for understanding. How do the 5Ws help with reading? It's very simple. These questions help to understand what you are reading and makes the reading easier to comprehend, especially if you stop, like I said before, and go ahead and answer the questions that can be answered. When should the 5Ws be used? The 5Ws can be used in reading, investigating and solving problems, and to summarize a story. You may not really think about it much, but a lot of police officers and investigators use the 5Ws in their line of work. For an example, when a police officer gets a phone call to go observe a scene, one of the first questions that they ask is who is involved? What is going on? Where did all of this start happening? These questions can be used inside the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. So they're very useful to be used. How does it work? You simply read a story and stop and ask questions, or if you want to read the entire story and then ask the questions, it's totally up to you. Today, I'm going to focus on using the 5Ws with a story instead of problem solving or investigating. To use the 5Ws and the question how, we will listen to a story and answer the question. It's that easy. So I want you to listen very carefully to the story, The Three Little Pigs, and afterwards we will start answering the 5Ws, who, what, where, when, why, and how. So let's try it out. So let's get started. Who were the characters in this story? The characters were the Three Little Pigs and the wolf. These were the only characters that this author introduced in this story or this video that we watched. Where did the story take place? Where did it happen? Everything happened outside of the three pigs' homes. The first pig's house was made out of straw, so that's where we saw our setting first. Then the next scene was the stick house, which was the second pig's home. And then the last setting was at the third pig's house, who had made his homes out of bricks. When did the story take place? The story doesn't mention a specific place, but we can go back and look at the video, or you can go back and look at the story, and we can conclude that it was at various times of the day, simply by going back, like I said, and looking at the video that was watched, or go back to look at the story that you read to find the setting if it doesn't specifically say what the setting was. I know a lot of stories say on a cloudy day or examples like that. It just depends on what story you are reading. What happened? Well, each pig built a house out of different materials, and a wolf threatened to blow the houses down. But why? Why did all of this happen? We can conclude that probably the wolf was just trying to eat the pigs in this version. I know there's so many different stories of the three little pigs out there, and this one specifically mentions nothing about why he was trying to blow the house down, but we can make a conclusion that he wanted to eat them. How is one of the questions that I said that depends on what you are reading or how you ask the question. And in this specific story, we can answer this question. The first two houses were not strong enough to withstand the blowing of the wolf's breath. And if you remember at the beginning of the story, when they were getting ready to build their homes, the third pig, which was the oldest brother, knew that the wolf had moved into the area, or he was in that area, so he wanted to make his house the strongest because he didn't want to have any problems if the wolf came around. So all of the two pigs went to the last pig's home because it was the strongest, and their homes got blown away. I have included 2 videos to get students excited about the 5 W's in their reading. The first one is from the Flocabulary website. I'm not sure if the district you work in has Flocabulary, but a lot of times you can just search for a certain video that you're watching, and I know that the 5W video is free. You don't have to have an account to watch that one. So we're going to go ahead and view that now.